welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. As you can see, I'm in a different location this week. Nassie's barking very loudly. I thought it would be nice to show you the view that I have when I choose to sit on the back deck and knit. Because today I'm taking a bit of a different approach, and what I thought I'd do is talk to you about my knitting origins and how I came to feel that I am a knitter with a capital K. So let's get into my story. Both of my grandmas were knitters. My dad's mum was even a test knitter for Australian knitting patterns, and she was quite talented and did a lot of work when she was younger. Unfortunately though, she got arthritis when I was quite young, and I don't remember ever seeing her knit, and she never was able to knit anything for me. My mum and dad still have a set of matching jumpers that she made for them, but apart from that we really don't have anything that she was able to produce. My mum's mum was also a knitter, and I don't remember seeing her knit either. She had a bag of knitting that sat beside a chair that she had in her lounge, and it had those traditional tortoiseshell knitting needles in it, and there was always balls of wool and patterns. But I guess she never knit when I was around because she was entertaining me and didn't feel that she could sit and knit. She did knit me a scarf when I was young. I think I chose the pattern. It's some diamonds. So I've kept that all this time. So Nana wasn't really a prolific knitter. She did things like the scarf, and she did some like blanket squares and stuff later in life. But again, I never saw her knit. I do remember sitting in her house with balls of yarn and needles. I don't know whether I remember this or if I've been told this and now I think I remember, but I used to just like stab the yarn with the needles and say knit knit, and I thought I was knitting. And then one day it was my mum who actually taught me to knit, and she's not a crafter. She can knit and crochet, but she's chosen not to do it. She's more of an outdoor active person and only crochets every once in a while. So she sat me down opposite her, and I think she must have cast on for me and went through the poem, in, around, through and off, in, around, through and off. And she did it, and I kind of was able to copy her by sitting across. Now, I didn't become a knitter at that point. I may have made a couple of scarves or blankets for my Barbies or something, probably with holes. But I remember the learning, but I don't remember continuing it on. Fast forward to about the year 2000, and something sparked my interest, and I don't even remember what it was. It might have been an ad for the quilting and craft fair, and I saw some yarn and some needles, and I thought that might be something that would be a good thing to get into, and I knew that I'd sort of learnt how to do it as a child. So back then, that was before YouTube, it was before Ravelry. So to find out how to knit was through books from the library, magazines, and research on the internet. I ended up subscribing to a whole lot of blogs, knitting blogs, and looked at picture tutorials, and I basically taught myself. And I'm pretty pleased with what I was able to teach myself, and now I learn what I need to know by either just following a pattern and hoping for the best, or by looking at YouTube channels and videos that are the techniques or the things that I'm interested in learning. One of the very first things I remember knitting for myself was a multi-directional scarf. So I bought this wool at one of those craft fairs, And it's probably not a yarn that I would buy now. It's really quite beautiful. But I still have this scarf. And as I've spoken about in a previous episode, one of the first things I wanted to make was a pair of socks. So I bought myself sock yarn, I bought myself double pointed needles, found myself a pattern, and I just tried and tried and tried until I got it right. So I've been thinking about this, and I thought that I was very much a project knitter and it was all about the end result. But looking back on what I've done with my knitting over the years, it was very much based on the project to begin with. And if the project was something that I wanted, then I would go through the process in order to get there, whatever that process was. So I would teach myself how to do it. And I would enjoy the process. I remember casting on for the toe-up socks, and I really struggled with it. Looked up a whole lot of different things, didn't understand, couldn't get it to work, but I kept trying because I really wanted those socks. Over the years, I've done cables, brioche, intarsia, colour work, lace, and it's all based on the pattern that I see and that I want to make. I've also done some mosaic knitting and some shadow knitting, and I feel that I have the basic skill that I taught myself to be able to take my needles and my yarn and just try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I rip it out and I start again. And if I love it, I keep it, and if I don't, I don't. So when I started out, I certainly wouldn't have called myself a knitter. I enjoyed it and I tried projects and I had some success, and having that success, I then built on what I had done and started buying magazines and looking into patterns. And when Ravelry first came out, I emailed and got on the wait list, and I was able to get an invitation before it was open publicly. So that was quite exciting, and that really broadened my knitting horizons and probably started me really on becoming a true knitter. I started to build up a stash. I started to have more than one project going at a time. I started carrying knitting around with me and taking it to work and knitting at lunchtime, and not feeling self-conscious about being on the train and knitting, or being in a waiting room and knitting, and also not feeling bad when I had to rip something out and start again, because it just meant that I got to knit some more. So I'm not exactly sure when, looking back, that I kind of made that transition in my head from being just someone who was trying knitting to being a knitter. Probably around the time that Ravelry started. And now it's something that I really can't do without. I sometimes feel odd if I don't at least knit a couple of stitches in a day and carry it with me, even if sometimes I know that I'm not actually going to be able to knit on it. And I think if I had only one project on the go, I would feel a bit weird, because I like having the option of doing some things that really stretch the brain, like some lace or a jumper with cables or something like that, but then also having a sock or blanket squares, or a very simple, just round and round kind of knit that can keep my hands occupied while I'm sitting on the couch or while I'm enjoying the sun. Hope that was able to provide a little bit of insight into where I've come from in my knitting journey. I think it's how a lot of people kind of start as a kid, just being taught by their mum or their grandmother or something, and then it's something that they put down and come back to as an adult. And now it's something that I really couldn't do without and love, and hope that I can share that love with other people as well. That's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.